Alrighty guys, and welcome back. We're going to be looking today at GhostFace and why I put GhostFace in the 12th spot for best killer in Dead by Daylight without add-ons. Now, GhostFace is a little bit of a hidden gem. A lot of people don't understand how to play Joey correctly, but I'm going to show you a couple of tricks today and why I recommend Joey for more of an intermediate player as opposed to more of a beginner player. Now, currently you will see a very stable build of mine, with the exception of Barbecue. I'd normally take Thrilling Tremor. So we got Ruin to stall the game as well. If you're unaware of what Ruin does, Ruin basically, when you land a great skill check, nothing happens. When you land a good, the generator is regressed 5%. It can be very painful to deal with. Pop's going to give you the stable regression, alongside Barbecue's going to give me some situational awareness, which is going to also entwine with Discordance. Now, Barbecue is subject to change. You could swap this out for anything along the lines of Nurse's Calling, anything to give you more situational awareness. Could be Infectious Fright, could be Surge. However, for this experiment today, we have doubled up on what we are running right now. Now, what does Ghostface do exactly? Ghostface has a lot of abilities, or a lot of things he can do. He can crouch, for example, and crouching is going to make him a lower target. However, when he crouches, his little tentacles here, or whatever you want to call them, as part of his cape, will come up, so survivors are going to be able to see that. Crouching is also going to allow you to peek easier. Now, what is peeking? Basically, when Ghostface presses the right-click button, he enters his stalk stage. His stalk stage gives him no red stain in front of his body and allows him to stalk a survivor. If he is leaning around a corner peeking, or crouching and peeking, looking at a survivor, it's going to take 2.5 seconds to stalk the survivor to full, and then give them exposure for, I believe, 30 seconds, maybe 1 minute. I'm not 100% sure on that. Also, if he is not peeking, he can just walk and stalk, much like Michael Myers. Michael Myers does not have the ability to peek. He can do the same thing as Michael Myers and just look at a survivor, and if he's looking at a survivor, it'll take 5 seconds. Now, this also being said, why would you want to play Ghostface? If I am playing Ghostface and I'm looking at Jeff and stalking Jeff, if somebody to my left like David King looks at me, he can break me out of my stalk. That sounds really finicky and really annoying. You're correct, but you also get a sound notification before you're breaking out of stalk. This being said, you're going to hear like an alarm sort of sound, which gives you notification that you're about to be seen. If you're standing peeking, you're better off crouching and taking line of sight. Do keep in mind, there is a bit of latency delay where a guy can break you out while you're already around a corner, so keep these kind of things in mind too. However, Joey can stalk through things like fences, like the wooden picket fence on Hattonfield, or things like Bad Ham's, barbed wire fence. He can stalk right through that, or chicken coop fence, so he can stalk right through that while nobody is breaking him out on the opposite side. It can be very devastating. You can 99 stalk somebody, much like Michael Myers. However, if you down them, putting them in dying state, they will reset on that. You can also have them 99 stalk. If somebody breaks you out of stalk, you can M1 them and then let them go heal, then pop tier 3 at a later date to down that survivor. He is very complicated to explain. So what can he do? He can peek around a corner. He can hide his red stain. He can also hide his heartbeat, alongside he can crouch. So there's a lot of mechanics involved in this killer to make him a decent killer. Even though he has all those things in his kit, doesn't make him one of the top 5. It does only put him in the 12th best killer spot in the game without add-ons. Now, I've gone through a basic build and understanding why I would run this. You're going to get situational awareness from Discordance. You can hide your heartbeat and then come up to the survivor and then come around the corner and peek them, or M1 them, grab them off a generator if you know they're hurt and you can hear them crying, come in for the M1. You can do a lot of different things in that situation. However, there is another build that works very, very well on Ghostface, and I'm going to show you exactly what that is. So there's a few options here. Now, there is a combo of running Thrilling Tremor and Surge, don't get me wrong, but there's another combo that looks very, very powerful, and I've seen quite a few people have been running it recently, and I'm going to explain to you why it is actually a decent perk and how you could be able to maneuver this into your playstyle and your kind of builds to help benefit you a little more. I'm running out of nice words to say and make you guys think I have this whole scripted, but I'm literally looking for a perk right now, and I don't know what else to say. I know the perk is called Surveillance, and I barely run it. There it is, right, let's get back into it, pretending that I actually knew what I was talking about. Okay, so when you down somebody with Surge, basically all generators around will explode for 8% regression, and they will glow white. The effect of Surveillance will kick in. There you go. Basically, what it says is regressing generators will highlight white auras. If the regression is interrupted on the generator, it'll highlight yellow for 16 seconds. Noise created by generators is louder. We're not worried about the noise power. However, all generators around will be glowing white. If the generator is already at 0%, it will not regress, therefore it will not glow white. If the generator is at 1%, you get down. All generators glowing white means there's no survivors on it. If for whatever reason you see the generator suddenly change color, all you have to do is press right mouse button. You will lose your line of sight, well, you'll lose your red stain in front of you, you will lose your heartbeat, and now you know where two people are. You've got the guy on the ground and the guy working on that Jenny. You might need to grab Pop Goes the Weasel as quickly as possible, pick him up, hook him, now you know where you need to go to do it. Very powerful build. Now you'll notice I'm lacklustering in situational awareness and rotation throughout the entire map. There's no tremor, there's no discordance, there's no Pop Goes the Weasel, there's no whispers, there's no bitter murmur, there's no tinkerer, there's nothing to give me information throughout the entire board. Therefore, it is a bit of a gamble running this kind of build. If I were to run this kind of build, there would be a couple of add-ons I'd be looking into. There is an add-on called the Chewed Pen. Now, the Chewed Pen is also known as one of his best add-ons. Now, what does the Chewed Pen do exactly? It considerably increases the Night Shroud power recovery rate. Therefore, whenever you M1 somebody as Ghostface while in your special ability, your M2, or if somebody breaks you out of it, there is a 30-second downtime of which you cannot do anything. I'm pretty confident that this removes, I believe, 10 seconds from the time. Yes, it removes 10 seconds from the timer, because if you entwine that with another one that says it does it as well, it gives 5 seconds as well. So if you're looking at something like this, along those lines of this, these do stack, even though it doesn't say it does, and this will give you a 15-second downtime when you cannot use your ability. So 15 seconds as opposed to 30 seconds. It's already 50%. It's very phenomenal, very, very powerful, and they are kind of the cheaper add-ons as well. So what is so good about hiding your red stain? If you're running a jungle gym against a killer or a survivor, and the survivor takes a left on the corner, the second he takes the left, all you have to do is press right mouse button. This is going to remove your heartbeat. The heartbeat is delayed. However, it's going to instantly remove a red stain from your chest. Removing the red stain means the survivor might think you've turned around, might think you're hiding your light, might think you're trying to moonwalk. And moonwalking is effective, don't get me wrong, but it's not as effective as running a straight line. So you're not going to get any penalty for bumping into anything, you know, twisting the corner a little tighter. All you need to do is wait for Jeff to get around the corner, then press that key. Now, if Jeff hesitates for 1 second, half a second, that's going to give you the time to come around the corner and M1 lunge hit him through a pallet. It might sound complicated, but it's really easy to do. Just make sure when you do use it that the guy has already gone around the corner. If he hasn't already gone around the corner, it could put you in a bit of a sticky situation. If you swing and you hit the guy, it will bring you out of your ability as well. Unlike Legion, if you swing and you miss, you stay in your ability, so keep that in mind. You have to hit a target or get pallet stunned, I believe, to pull you out of your ability. Now, you can stalk and go for cute hits around the corner, depending on what you want to do, but if you have injured a survivor and he's running the jungle gym and he's got dead hard, so he's prolonging the pallet by not throwing it, therefore you can hide your light just by pressing this button, and it might be the difference between him hesitating or him not hesitating. And if he does hesitate and then he dead hard to the pallet and pulls the pallet down, stalk him a little bit, go around the corner, stalk him a little bit more, prep him up, break the pallet and leave and come and get him later, provided he's in a bad section of the board. You could do that, and now you don't have to worry about dead hard next time. You could just tier 3 down him instantly. And there's a lot of situations where that'll work out a lot better when you're versing very experienced survivors in the red ranks. So even though I recommend this build and I can think it's quite devastating, there are other combos such as Dying Light and Thanophobia. Don't get me wrong, that is another wombo combo instead of Surge and Surveillance. If you're wondering what Dying Light and if you're wondering what Dying Light does by default, it has recently been changed, and basically every time a survivor is hooked that is not your obsession, a penalty of 3% happens to all other teammates. Now, you do not get a token for hooking your obsession. If he's not your obsession and you hook him, basically there is 3% penalty. 3% isn't a lot, you're correct. 3% of a generator, well, a generator is 80 seconds to do, so 0.8 times 3 times 2, 1.6, 2.4. So you're looking at 2.4 regression per generator, seconds-wise, per hook. It's not a lot, but when you entwine that with a perk called Thanophobia, things start getting a little bit frisky, a little bit harder. That's 16% default penalty to generators if you have everyone hurt from Thanophobia. So that's 16%. So 16%, you've obviously got 10%, which is 8. So 8, and we're going to round it down 1% just for science. So we're going to go 4. So 8, 4, that's 12. 12.8 seconds just from Thanophobia off any generator that people are working on. Plus you have Ruin for the stall as well. And then you get Dying Light stall. So you see how it can really come into play. It's much better on a killer such as the Plague where you can't heal or you can't cleanse. But at the same time, it can work really well on people like Legion is who I recommend it more on as opposed to Ghostface. Now, There are some other honorable mentions to be mentioned here as well. I mean, things that can help you overcome survivors would be things like nurses calling. If you're walking throughout the entire board and you don't have a heartbeat and you see somebody healing, you can just walk over, peek around the corner, M1 him if you think he's not going to heal, stalk him if you think he's just about to heal. You got barbecue and chili for the situational awareness, you know. Franklin's if you wanted them to drop something. I can never recommend Franklin's though. You don't need brutal strength, you don't need enduring. You can take these perks, don't get me wrong. Horn of Ground can even work, Devour Hope can even work, but at the same time, Joey can be very difficult to stall out a game. Corrupted Dimension is an honorable mention as well. Joey can be very difficult to stall out the game, getting the prep, especially when you're versing a good coordinated Swift that are just going to break you out of stalk. Therefore, these add-ons getting you back in stalk sooner rather than later is going to put you in a much more better situation. Now, there are a couple of maps I would love to go to Joey on and play. For example, this brand new map called the Hawkins. That would be amazing alongside running Surge and Surveillance. You can come around corners, you can stalk through the glass in that little area as well. There are a lot of really good plays, but that also being said, you can go to maps like The Game, you can go to maps like Larry's Institute, you can get put in really, really good situations. However, you know, you could even get the charred wedding photo. However, there are other maps that are going to hurt you. Maps like this could be good or bad. If you're playing Blood Lodge, there is a lot of pallets out in the open. However, there are a couple of jungle gyms that are going to be blocking line of sight, and if you use your ability to hide your light and then get the hit on the guy, it can work out really well. Do keep in mind, however, though, you're going to have to eat through the middle of the map at some point or another. And if you go there in the first 10 seconds because you still got Ruin up and you get some guy to start throwing shit really quick, that's going to put you in an amazing spot if you can eat all those pallets and cost you 1-2 Jennies most, and then you down him and there's nothing in the middle of the map. Now you can play really, really good and aggressive because you can still block your line of sight and stalk people. And if he runs at you to break you out of stalk and you can't get the stalk finished, just take the free M1 on him and rotate elsewhere. Or follow him if he runs through the center of the map where there's nothing, just play to the situation that presents itself to you. Alrighty guys, that's going to be all for GhostFace. Now this is why I put him in the 12th best place in the game. If you master the ability to hide your light just by pressing right mouse button, it's going to make you a lot better. If you've got a lot of practice on somebody like the Billy, who you moonwalk, hide your light, chainsaw around a corner and flick hit somebody, then you're not going to need to do this strategy. It's more for a person who's still trying to understand the light mechanic. It's going to show you how efficient it is by just hiding your light by pressing right mouse button, as opposed to the moonwalk kind of play that a lot more experienced killers will be doing. Alrighty guys, if you have any more questions, don't hesitate to check out the live stream, and guys, hope you enjoyed GhostFace and why I put him in the 12th best killer spot in the game.